When you think of Cold War spies, you picture James Bond, slick suits, sports cars, laser watches. The reality? Spies were issued toolkits to shove up their ass. Soviet soldiers tried to cook bullets like soup. The CIA built million-dollar robot dragonflies that any enemy could swat with a newspaper. Today we're exploring the most absurd, embarrassing spy gadgets and military fails of the Cold War. Hit subscribe because the real James Bond probably walked very, very funny. Let's start with the CIA's least comfortable invention. Chapter 1. The CIA Rectal Toolkit. Secrets in Dark Places. The CIA needed to equip agents with escape tools. Their solution? Put them where the sun definitely doesn't shine. Because this wasn't a backup plan, this was standard issue equipment that agents actually had to use. 1960s, Cold War. CIA agents operate deep in enemy territory. If captured, they need escape tools, lockpicks, saws, drills. But where do you hide these tools? Guards search you, strip search you, check your clothes, shoes, personal items. The CIA solution? Hide them internally. Specifically, in your rectum. Yes, the Central Intelligence Agency, defenders of American freedom, decided the best place for escape tools was up your ass. The device was called the rectal concealment capsule, a cylindrical container about 4 inches long, less than an inch in diameter, made of smooth medical-grade material. Inside, miniature saw blades, drill bits, lockpicks, wire cutters, everything you need to escape from a Soviet prison, as long as you can retrieve it from your colon. The instructions were clinical. Insert the capsule rectally. It will remain concealed during standard body searches. When needed, remove through natural elimination or manual extraction. Translation: shove this up your butt. When you need to escape, shit it out or pull it out with your fingers. This was peak spy technology. Imagine being a CIA agent. You've trained for years. You speak fluent Russian. You can kill a man with a pencil. And your most important piece of equipment is a capsule you have to insert into your own rectum before every mission. Now imagine the practical problems. You're captured, thrown into a Soviet prison cell. You need to escape. First step, extract the capsule. You're sitting on a concrete floor. Guards might check on you at any moment. You're trying to quietly pull a metal cylinder out of your ass. Successfully extract it, open it, now you have tiny saw blades covered in, well, you know. You're trying to saw through prison bars while trying not to think about where those tools just were. And if you're captured and searched before you can use it, you have to sit through interrogation for hours, possibly days, with a metal cylinder full of sharp objects in your rectum. Try maintaining your cool spy demeanor while clenching desperately to keep your escape kit from falling out mid-interrogation. The worst part? This was a real, documented CIA program. Multiple agents were issued these devices. Training included instruction on proper insertion and retrieval. There are actual CIA documents describing the optimal capsule dimensions for comfortable concealment and reliable retrieval. Comfortable. They used the word comfortable. Compare this to James Bond gadgets. Bond gets exploding pens, cars with ejector seats, watches with lasers. Real CIA agents got a Swiss Army knife for your butthole. The name's Bond, James Bond, and I walk like I've been riding a horse for 3 days straight because I have a toolkit in my ass. Not quite the same ring to it. But at least the rectal toolkit was your own device. The next spy fail involved getting the enemy to bug themselves. Chapter 2. The Thing. The Trojan Horse That Worked. The KGB wanted to bug the U.S. ambassador. So they gave him a wooden plaque, and he hung it in his office. For 7 years, the Americans had no idea they were being listened to. This is the most embarrassing counterintelligence failure of the Cold War. 1945, World War II just ended. US and Soviet Union are still allies. Barely. The American ambassador to the Soviet Union, W. Averill Harriman, is stationed in Moscow. A delegation of Soviet school children visits the embassy. They present a gift to the ambassador, a beautiful hand-carved wooden replica of the Great Seal of the United States. Exquisite craftsmanship, clearly took months to create. Harriman is touched. These children made this for him. Spoiler, the children didn't make it, the KGB did. Harriman hangs the seal in his private study, in the Spaso House, the ambassador's residence, where he conducts private meetings, discusses classified information, makes sensitive phone calls. For the next 7 years. 7 years. The Americans had no idea they're being listened to. How did it work? Inside the wooden seal, a listening device designed by Leon Theremin. Yes, the guy who invented the theremin musical instrument. It's a masterpiece of espionage engineering. No batteries, no wires, no power source inside the device at all. It only works when activated by a radio beam from outside the building. The Soviets park a van across the street, aim a radio transmitter at the ambassador's office. The beam hits the device, acts as both power source and carrier wave. Sound waves vibrate a membrane inside the seal. The radio beam picks up these vibrations, transmits them back to the van. Perfect passive listening device. The beauty of this design, it's undetectable by normal means. 1940s bug sweepers look for batteries, wires, active transmissions. The thing has none of these. When not activated, it's literally just a piece of metal in wood, completely inert. The Americans sweep for bugs regularly, find nothing, because they're not looking for passive resonators. For 7 years, the Soviets listened to everything discussed in the ambassador's study. How did they finally discover it? 1952, a British radio operator picks up suspicious transmissions near the U.S. Embassy. The Americans investigate, check everything, eventually find the device inside the wooden seal. The CIA spent millions trying to bug Soviet offices. The KGB just gave the Americans a piece of wood and said, "Here, hang this in your top-secret meeting room." And the Americans said, "Wow, thanks. It really ties the room together." The embarrassment was enormous. 7 years of classified conversations, compromised, because someone accepted a gift and hung it on the wall. The seal was removed, sent to the U.S. for analysis. American engineers were stunned. The design was ingenious, years ahead of Western technology. The thing became famous, displayed at the United Nations during a Security Council meeting in 1960. U.S. Ambassador Henry Cabot Lodge used it as evidence of Soviet espionage, held up the carved seal, pointed to the device inside. This hung in the American ambassador's office for 7 years. Every private conversation, every classified discussion, the Soviets heard it all. The Soviets, to their credit, didn't even deny it. Why would they? It was brilliant, and it worked. But passive listening devices are subtle. The CIA's next spy gadget was less so. Chapter 3. The Insectothopter, the $1,000,000 fly. The CIA wanted a flying microphone, so they built a robot Dragonfly. This cost millions of dollars and could be defeated by a light breeze. 1970s, CIA Research Division. The goal? Create a miniature aerial surveillance device, something that could fly into a room unnoticed, record conversations, fly back out. First attempt, Robot Bumblebee. Makes sense. Bees are common, nobody pays attention to them. One problem: real bumblebees don't hover perfectly still in one spot for minutes at a time. If a bumblebee flew into a Soviet meeting room and just hovered motionless by the window for 5 minutes, someone might notice. Comrade, is that bee staring at us? Solution: build a robot dragonfly instead. Dragonflies actually do hover in place, naturally, for extended periods. So the CIA engineers create the Insectothopter, a miniature drone shaped like a dragonfly, about 2 inches long. Features: a tiny gas engine to power the wings, a miniature microphone, a transmitter to send audio back to handlers, 4 flapping wings for realistic flight. Cost: several $1 million in research and development. The test flights were mixed. In controlled indoor conditions, it worked. The Dragonfly could fly, could hover, could record audio. But outdoor testing revealed problems. Problem 1: wind. Even a light breeze would blow the Insectothopter off course. It couldn't compensate. A gust of wind would send your $1 million spy drone tumbling away like a leaf. Problem 2: range. The engine was tiny. Fuel capacity was measured in drops. Flight time, about 60 seconds, maybe. That's not much time for espionage. Fly into the room, hope nobody swats you, record for 30 seconds, fly back out before you crash. Problem 3: control. Radio control in the 1970s wasn't great. Miniature radio control was worse. The drone's flight path was unstable. Controllers had trouble keeping it on target. Problem 4: the obvious one. It's a robot dragonfly, in a room, in Moscow, in winter. Why is there a dragonfly in our office in December? Any Soviet official could defeat millions of dollars of American spy technology with a rolled-up newspaper. The Insectothopter never saw operational use. It remained a research project, a proof of concept, a very expensive proof that miniature aerial drones weren't practical yet. The CIA kept it classified for decades. When finally declassified, it was displayed in the CIA museum as a historical curiosity, a reminder that sometimes the simplest solution, like putting a regular microphone in a wooden seal, works better than high-tech gadgets. But American spy fails were subtle compared to Soviet military disasters. Let me tell you about bullet soup. Chapter 4: Soviet Bullet Soup in Afghanistan. Soviet soldiers in Afghanistan had a problem. They were trading ammunition to locals, who sold it to the enemy, who shot them with it. Their solution involved cooking bullets like soup. It didn't work at all. 1979. Soviet Union invades Afghanistan. The invasion is supposed to be quick. Secure the government, stabilize the situation, leave. Instead, 9 years of brutal guerrilla warfare. Soviet logistics are a disaster. Supply lines are overstretched, food is scarce, rations are terrible. Soldiers are hungry. Local Afghan merchants have food. Soldiers have ammunition. Merchants want ammunition. You can see where this is going. Soviet soldiers start trading bullets for food. 7.62 millimeter rounds, 5.45 millimeter rounds, whatever they can spare. Afghan merchants are happy to trade. A few rounds for some bread, some vegetables, a decent meal. The merchants then sell those bullets to the Mujahideen. The Mujahideen use those bullets to shoot at Soviet soldiers. The exact same bullets, traded for food, now coming back at high velocity. Soviet command realizes this is a problem. They need to stop soldiers from trading ammunition, but they can't stop soldiers from being hungry. So they come up with a plan. A very, very stupid plan. The plan: ruin the ammunition before trading it. How? Boil it. Soldiers are instructed to cook their ammunition in pots. like soup, for hours. The logic: heat and moisture will ruin the primer. The bullets will misfire. The mujahideen get useless ammunition. Everyone wins, except the mujahideen. There's just one problem. Modern ammunition is completely waterproof. Primers are sealed. Powder is sealed. The entire cartridge is hermetically sealed. Boiling does absolutely nothing. Soviet soldiers spent hours making bullet soup, heating water, adding ammunition, stirring, waiting, fishing out hot, steaming bullets, then trading those perfectly functional bullets to merchants who sold them to the mujahideen, who shot Soviet soldiers with them. The bullets worked fine. Boiling doesn't affect modern ammunition at all. You can submerge ammo in water for weeks and it'll still fire. Heat doesn't help either. The temperatures inside a gun chamber are far higher than boiling water. So Soviet soldiers were wasting fuel to heat water, wasting time cooking bullets, arming the enemy with perfectly functional ammunition, getting shot at with their own bullets, all for a warm meal. The worst part? This continued for months. Nobody seemed to figure out that the boiled bullets still worked, or if they did, they didn't tell the soldiers still cooking bullet soup. "Comrade, why are you boiling ammunition?" "To ruin it before we trade it to the enemy." "Is it working?" "Well, they keep shooting us with it, so yes?" This perfectly encapsulates the Soviet Afghanistan experience. Good intentions, terrible execution, complete failure. They were literally making hot soup with bullets and arming the enemy for a warm meal. 4 Cold War fails, each more embarrassing than the last. Time to wrap this up. The reality of espionage. Hollywood lied to you about spies. Real espionage wasn't glamorous. It was awkward, uncomfortable, and frequently stupid. What these stories have in common: first, overcomplicated solutions to simple problems. Need escape tools? Put them in your ass. Need to bug someone? Give them a wooden plaque. Need aerial surveillance? Build a robot dragonfly. Need to ruin bullets? Boil them like pasta. Second, expensive failures. The insectopter cost millions, defeated by wind. The rectal toolkit was medically engineered, extremely uncomfortable. The bullet soup wasted fuel and time, accomplished nothing. Third, the simple solutions worked best. The thing, a piece of wood with a passive resonator, was brilliant, worked for 7 years. Everything else, varying degrees of failure. Fourth, reality is always dumber than fiction. James Bond gets laser watches and exploding pens. Real spies get ass capsules and robot insects that can't fly in a breeze. So that's the real Cold War. Not slick agents in tuxedos, but uncomfortable tools, wooden Trojan horses, million-dollar robot bugs, and soldiers cooking bullets like soup. The CIA put toolkits in rectums. The KGB gave America a bugged plaque, and America hung it in the ambassador's office. The CIA built a Dragonfly drone that couldn't handle wind. Soviet soldiers boiled ammunition thinking it would help. This is what actual espionage looked like: awkward, embarrassing, frequently incompetent. So the next time you watch a spy movie and see a suave secret agent defusing a nuclear bomb with his luxury watch, just remember the truth. Real Cold War espionage involved hanging a piece of wood on your wall for 7 years, building million-dollar robot bugs that couldn't fly outdoors, trying to ruin ammunition by boiling it like stew, and shoving a toolkit right up your anatomical back pocket. If you enjoyed exploring the dumbest moments of the Cold War, smash that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, would you rather have the robot Dragonfly or the CIA's special capsule? Because those are apparently your options. See you next time, where hopefully we discuss spy gadgets that don't require medical insertion.